There it goes. Welcome back to Tomahawk Fab Works. This is part 2 of the removal of the rest of the fuel line there that's going up and over the axle on the frame. So without further ado, let's jump in. As I said before in the previous segment, part 1, that I had to remove the subwoofer, which is mounted on this custom made, and I say with some levity, custom made mount there. I'll just get into that for a second. When I was going to mount this in the trunk, I was thinking about, you know, self-tapping screws going through the floor of the trunk and puncturing my gas tank. So I didn't make them, but I found L brackets at the hardware store and welded them in place on 4 spots, did the measurements, all that stuff, and then made this wooden base and put these 4 blocks in place. And now the mount board actually screws in with these screws right here at each point, and then the subwoofer screws down to this base right here, and that's the amp which sat on that little hump right there in the middle of the trunk. So that's been unscrewed and moved out of the way, and this area over here is going to be probably where the bolt's at. We got to undo to get the last little bit of that fuel line off. So I'm going to get underneath the car and... Okay, I got the hole drilled. Let's take a look at it. Alright, so here we are underneath the car. Now we don't want... Damn, this thing turns out the way I want it. Okay, so I'll zoom in. Now, right here, if I can hold the camera straight, right? Where's my... Oh wow, I can't even point. So right there, that thing right there, just... Oh, let me get up here if I can. Yeah, there's the clamp for the fuel line. Here's the fuel line, right? And right there, that's the bolt that's holding it in. And here's the hole I drilled. And it's hard to tell from this angle, but I hit it a little back towards it, but this is my reference now. And so we're going to go in the trunk and we're going to look for the hole, and this is going to be easy enough to spot, of course, because it's pretty big. And so when we go to cut our access panel, that right there where that hole's at will probably be the rear border of it. And we'll go forward, you know, like, actually we'll go back like maybe 1/4 of an inch, and then we'll go forward probably 3 inches. I'll get a ruler up there and kind of get some guesstimates going, but or that might even be one of the corners, I don't know, but yeah. So let's go on top and look at where it's at and kind of vision this thing out. There we go. Okay, probably hard to see, but it's right underneath my fingertip right here. And I was trying to drill in a spot I really wanted to, but when they stamp these panels out, they put these joggles in there, and that strengthens the panel, and I see that. I get that. So the next part will be I'll get underneath the ruler and kind of nail down where this is going to be at, and then I'll mark it out, and then we'll cut it out, and we'll get that bolt out. Then we'll get the rest of that fuel line out. Because at this very moment, the last little bit of my fittings for the new fuel line and fuel pump and all my other fixings, which are in this box right here. All right, so I got it from Summit. All right, and so yeah, so here's the box, right? And I think it's this the box that's got the fuel line in it. Yeah, there's a coil of new fuel line, right? And here's a fancy fuel filter I got for it, right? Here's the rest of the AN fittings are down in here. Here's one of them. My first time at hand at like putting this kind of stuff together, so that'll be another video, of course. But for now, let's get the fuel line out of there, because we can't do that part without doing this part first. Okay, it's pretty hot out and the sun's right on the camera, so I don't know how long it's gonna last, but you can see that I'll use my shadow here if I can. You see the square right here, sort of, that I marked out. That's the target area to try and get that bolt out. So I'm going to cut that open and make it as neat as I can, so they can weld it back in. So here we go. I'm going to get some earplugs too. Stand by. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I got it. Show you where it's at here. Okay, so here's the hole, and you can see the clamp and the fuel line right there. So yeah, so just get I'll get the socket out and undo that and try and yank that last little fuel line out of there, and that'll be it. And I gotta retrieve that piece of metal I dropped out of there too. So alright, YouTubers, there it is, the last of the original fuel line. Oh, this is a real mother to get out too. I don't even remember how this was shaped, but so it was kind of like this, and this is the part that went forward to the car, and this went back towards the fuel tank, and one of these clamps was still on here, so I had to grab it from the inside, from the first access port I cut out, and try and split it open to get it off. That's the only way it's coming off. So I got lucky and was able to do that and yank on this thing and get it out. So all the old fuel lines out now. I may or may not have to mount the new carb. I just don't know yet, you know, so just wait and see kind of thing. So so that we can have an engine running and have a vacuum source to you know, get the power brakes working and all that junk, blah blah blah. So yeah, so it's out, and that concludes this segment of removing the rest of the fuel line, the Pontiac part 2. And thanks for tuning in. I always see more subscribers coming on. Thank you very much. I'm trying to get more used to being in front of the camera and opening up a little bit more to my audience. So I hope you stay tuned. That's it.